Welcome to video 5 in the NAATI CPI test preparation series for Indigenous languages. This video is about speaking skills. So in the first 4 videos in this series, we've covered an overview of the test, and then we've been talking one by one through these skills that are being marked. The first one is meaning transfer. The second one is consecutive mode of interpreting and consecutive technique. Then managing interaction. And this video is now going to talk about speaking skills, or the fancy word for it is rhetorical skills. So this video will cover what speaking skills are and what the markers are looking for, some tips and tricks for the test, and some exercises. At the end of the lesson, you'll be more aware of the speaking skills that interpreters need, and you'll know how speaking skills are going to be marked on the CPI dialogues. Speaking skills and interpreting is really about asking yourself, can your clients hear you well, loud and clear? Interpreters must have good speaking skills to make sure that what they say, so your interpretation, is heard and understood by the speakers. But you also don't want anything in the way you speak to distract from the content of what you're interpreting. Hesitations or funny intonation in the way you're saying things. Of course, you might have to adjust the way you speak depending on the job. There are always situations where you have background noise, and particularly phone interpreting can be a tricky one if the connection or the phone speakers aren't very good. And then there are situations, I don't know, like courtrooms where often your client is behind glass and you have to speak louder or really pronounce things clearly to make sure your client can understand you. What will markers be looking for in speaking skills? Well, we can break it down into 5 things. First of all, the volume. Are you loud enough for everybody to hear? But not too loud, of course. Is your pronunciation clear? How fluent is your delivery? Does it come out smoothly, or do you hesitate a lot? Do you say or ah, or have to stop and think about it for a long time? Think about your speed. You don't want to be going too fast, but also you don't want to go too slow. The other thing that you can do with your voice, of course, is intonation. You can put emotions into how you speak in your voice. It's kind of like the song of speech. And of course, there's appropriate song, there's an appropriate level of emotion that an interpreter can convey, and then sometimes there's overdoing it too. Okay, now we're going to do some warm-up exercises for clear pronunciation. And I'm actually going to turn the video on for this one and embarrass myself so you have the benefit of a visual. Now, the first ones are quiet ones that if you just face the corner of the room when you're waiting for a job, you could do quietly and not embarrass yourself. Okay, this is warming up the muscles in your face. The first one is little face, big face. You start with little face where you try and squish all the muscles up, and then go to big face and stretch. That wasn't too bad. The next one is just warming up your tongue, because obviously that does a lot of work in clear pronunciation. So you need to push your tongue around the inside of your mouth, so you're using all the muscles like this. Okay, that was getting more embarrassing. Okay, the next one is a silent happy birthday. Pretend that you're singing, but you can do it silently with a really big, wide mouth when you're saying the words. Okay, I hope I wasn't the only one doing that. I hope you're doing that there too. Now we're going to do the more embarrassing ones. These are the loud ones. The first one is yawning. When you do a yawn, you actually stretch your vocal cords. It kind of feels good too. The next one are lip trills. And it's good to do these with a bit of voicing as well, so you're turning on your vocal cords. Kind of like a motorbike. Another one is doing tongue trills. And the last one is then doing some tongue twisters. One good one that goes through a lot of the articulators in the mouth and different vowel sounds are these ones here that are a little bit hard to read, but it goes through in a regular pattern. Padaga, padaga, podogo, podogo, budugu, pudugu, bidigi, pidigi, perege, perege. And then with other sounds. Mana, manalatavaza. Monolothovozo, munuluthovozo, minilithivisi, menelethevese. And it's good to practice, especially the last set that has the th, v, z sounds. And then, of course, you can come up with your favorite tongue twisters, like give Papa a proper cup of coffee in a copper coffee pot. Anyway, you can look up all your favorite tongue twisters online or ask around your friends, or I'll send you some if you want some more. Here are some tips for the speaking skills part of the test. On the phone dialogue, you're never quite sure how good the speakerphone function is. So the tip is speak extra clearly and a little bit louder than usual. Try really hard not to say or at least be aware of when you're saying when you're interpreting or just in day-to-day speech, so you can pick yourself up on it. The last tip, again, similar to in other videos, is to get honest feedback about how your speaking skills are. Ask somebody you trust to give you pure, brutal honesty. This exercise is about intonation, putting emotions into your speech. And remember, this can also cross over with meaning transfer, because you're putting emotions, which can be part of the meaning, into your interpretation. So we're going to just practice saying this same sentence, the bus was an hour late, but with different emotions. I'll demonstrate, and then you can hit pause and give it a go yourself. So we'll say the same sentence with the angry emotion. The bus was an hour late. Surprised? The bus was an hour late. Suspicious. The bus was an hour late. Excited. The bus was an hour late. Hit pause and give it a go yourself. Okay, the second exercise is saying the same sentence another 3 times, but this time we're going to emphasize a different word. Bus, then hour, then late, and show that that's the important part of the sentence. Okay. The bus was an hour late. The bus was an hour late. The bus was an hour late. Hear the difference in those sentences and what they're contrasting and the meaning they're transferring. Give that a go yourself, emphasizing those 3 different words. And when you've finished that, try interpreting it into your language. Now, when you do it with bus, it doesn't mean that you have to stress that word in the same way in your language. Think about how your language emphasizes the most important part of the sentence, whether it's moving it to the front of the sentence, moving it to the back of the sentence, extending that word, or repeating it, or adding a special little suffix on the end. In this exercise, we're going to do some more self-analysis. Ask yourself, do I really sound like that? So you're going to need a recorder, an MP3 recorder, and the first exercise is to record yourself talking for 1 minute about what you did yesterday. The next step is to set up 2 phones in different rooms so you can record at the other end on the speakerphone and talk for 1 minute about what you want to do on the weekend. When you've got those recordings, you're going to listen back with your checklist and check how your volume is, how clear your pronunciation is, what your speed is like. Are you speaking fast or slow? Do you say or hesitate much? And think about your intonation. If you don't think you can give yourself honest feedback, ask somebody else who can. This has been quite a short tutorial, so here are 3 quick review questions. Press pause after each one and say your answer out loud. What are 5 aspects of speaking skills that markers will be listening for? And as a clue, they might have been in the checklist just before. What might you need to do with your voice when interpreting over the phone? What speaking skills do you need to work on? So after this video, you've got those warm-ups and tongue twisters that you can practice every day, especially before you've got an interpreting job. And in the workbook, there are the intonation exercise for you to practice on, saying the same sentence with different emotions, and that little checklist and exercise to record yourself and check on your 5 indicators of speaking skills. And once you've finished doing those things, you should know what speaking skills are, understand what skills the markers are looking for, and be able to critically analyse your own speech. In the next tutorial, we'll be looking at language competency, the level of English and language knowledge and skills that you'll need to be interpreting at the CPI level. And those two, English competency and language competency, are marked the same way, so we'll cover them in the same tutorial.